Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 25 of the Finger Lakes Golfer Podcast on FingerLakes1.tv and YouTube. Recorded live on Monday night, a little earlier than actually still Monday afternoon, about 4:45 on Monday, June 1st, 2015. Coming at you a special time tonight, a little revised, abridged edition of the show. We'll get you up to date on all the local news of the week, but I'm solo tonight in the studio. The Big Easy will be back next week. So on tonight's episode, we're going to recap all the U.S. Open local qualifiers, as we're just a couple weeks away from the U.S. Open at Chambers Bay. I'll tell you about the action on the Central New York PGA Tour, this week's local hole-in-ones. And Bob found a new product that he is testing out to review next week. And I had it. It was a golf glove. I put it on my hand, and I got to tell you, they're usually, when you think of innovations for golf gloves, you think of a more durable or more comfortable material, or breathability or things like that. But there's something about this glove that's certainly different, and I'll share that with you. So, apologize to all those that like to tune in live at 9 o'clock. This week we're going to post this episode, so you'll come across it if you're tuning in for the live show at 9 o'clock. We'll already have it posted, and it'll be just me here. And a little depressing the past couple days weather-wise around the Finger Lakes with all the rain we've gotten. Record rainfall amounts actually locally on Saturday night into Sunday, and then again Sunday night into Monday. A lot of area courses underwater at the moment, but it's certainly we can't complain, because May was one of the best months for golf in recent memory. Courses dried right up, firm and fast. That's kind of how I like them. So a couple days of rain, maybe some guys getting able to take some time off from the course before we get back into action with what looks to be like a great forecast for the second half of the week heading into the weekend. I'm sure things will dry right back up again, and I'll be out there. Also dealing with rain this weekend were the folks down in Texas at the AT&T Byron Nelson at TPC Four Seasons Resort in Irving. Still pretty good tournament. Stephen Bowditch wins at minus 18, originally from Australia. Actually got married at the Four Seasons Resort. And then it's been 2 years now, he comes back and wins with a score of 18 under, edging out Charlie Hoffman, Jimmy Walker, and Scott Pinkney, all tied for minus 14. Zach Johnson at minus 13 in fifth place. And I tell you, if you follow the PGA Tour or you're in a fantasy golf league, you've certainly been seeing a lot of Charlie Hoffman and Zach Johnson. They seem to always be top 10, two of the most consistent players on tour right now. And Dustin Johnson, I don't know if you caught this, but he made a quadruple bogey on the front nine, ended up finishing, I think, at 11 under. So that just took him out of it early, and wasn't much drama coming home. And it was a pretty muddy golf course. It's amazing that they could actually play the course. Earlier in the week, they had to convert a par 4 to a par 3. So the fairway was unplayable because of all the rain. So what they did was they moved the tee up to about 100 yards and played it as a par 3. So the rain we got the past couple days here in the Finger Lakes is not anything compared to what they've been dealing with in Texas. And it's funny how the headlines are saying he runs away from Dustin Johnson. Johnson chipped in on the first 2 holes of the day, or maybe it was the first 2 or 3, but he had like one putt through 3 holes and looked like it was going to be his day before making the quadruple bogey and putting himself out of it. So coming up on tour, next week it's the Memorial Tournament at Muirfield Village, Jack Nicklaus's tournament, Dublin, Ohio. Defending champ Hideki Matsuyama took home $1.116 million last year. Taking that. Then they play the FedEx St. Jude Classic before its U.S. Open time at Chambers Bay in Washington State. We're going to have Rhett Taccone on the podcast again either next week or the week after. He played Chambers Bay, so it's going to be fun to talk to him about that course. A lot of mystery surrounding that course. I've heard rumors of slope tees, which, I don't necessarily think I agree with the concept of having slope tees on a golf course, but heard him talk about that, and Rhett hopefully can shed a little insight on what we can expect at the U.S. Open at Chambers Bay. And it's a primetime U.S. Open, too, which is great because it means on Sunday night, which will be traditionally Father's Day for the U.S. Open Sunday final, it will probably get over around as late as 10:30, 11 o'clock on Sunday night. So that's primetime major golf, and it's great when that happens. It's a little bit of a conflict because I like the U.S. Open when it's on East Coast courses because it just feels more, I can relate to those courses maybe a little more than the West Coast courses, but that primetime Sunday finish is really something. It's not just Sunday, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, you got primetime major golf. So that's definitely something to look forward to. Mention Bob will be back next week as we resume our normal podcast format. So remember to subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Remember to click that like button below, and we'll pop up every new episode on your YouTube feeds. We're also on iTunes, Stitcher.com, and the FingerLakes1.com app at the Android or Apple Store. Free download. Local news, weather, all the FingerLakes1.tv programming, Finger Lakes Radio, Finger Lakes One Radio, 24/7 stream, and a lot more on that app. So, Bob's pick of the week, we obviously don't have it this week because Bob's not here, but on Sunday morning, yes, we did play golf Sunday morning at Seneca Falls Country Club. It was about 54 degrees and drizzling, and the course was soaked, and it was a little windy, and it wasn't pleasant. I didn't play very well. I will say the greens held up pretty well. There weren't any puddles on the greens, and they were pretty firm and rolled great, but everywhere else just kind of soaked. But before we teed off on the putting green, Bob said, "Hey, check this out. I have a new product I'm reviewing for the podcast." And it was a golf glove, and it's called the Bionic Golf Glove. Now, I'm not really loyal to any brand of golf glove, and sometimes I wonder if the $5 or $6 Wilson gloves or whatever are just as good as the more expensive $15, $20 gloves that you might find made by FootJoy. But this glove here costs, they have different models between $20 and $30. I think this is the one that Bob had me try on, and the difference is there's ridges that kind of set the club in your hand. And I kind of liked how it felt, to be honest with you. I didn't hit any shots with it. I just put it on my hand and put a club in my hand and took a swing or two. And they say it's the only golf glove designed by an orthopedic hand specialist. So it'll be interesting to see what old Bob thinks after playing a few rounds with that. Maybe I'll hit a few shots with it, and we'll come back next week to review it right here on the show. Also want to remind you about the promo that we're running through vicegolf.com, exclusive for listeners of the Finger Lakes Golfer podcast. If you order before June 15th and use the promo code FingerLakes, that's all one word, FingerLakes, you'll get free logoing on those golf balls. And we've been touting the Pro Plus balls for the past 4 or 5 episodes, basically all year long. And if you buy 5 dozen of those things, 1 dozen I think is $32.95. And these are the balls that are comparable to the Pro Vs, the Titleist Pro Vs, or the Bridgestones. They're just great balls. I contend you won't notice a difference if you swap out your Pro V for one of these Vice balls, Pro Pluses. But if you buy 5 dozen, the price drops to $24.95 a dozen. And so then you throw in the free logoing, and you can get basically for $120, you can have I think it's a little more, $130. 5 dozen brand new Pro V or top of the line quality soft golf balls, logoed. If you use the logo code or the promo code before June 15th at vicegolf.com. And I should also mention for U.S. customers, which is pretty much all our listeners, they had an issue with the promo code. So if the promo code doesn't go through when you create and place your order, you can email support@vicegolf.com and they'll manually apply that discount for you and get those golf balls out to you. And that's through June 15th. And like I say, I'll vouch for the fact that if you have trouble with that code, email support@vicegolf.com. Tell them you heard about it at the Finger Lakes Golfer Podcast and that you are placing an order, but the promo code's not working. Give them the promo code of Finger Lakes, all one worded, and they'll take care of it. So let's take a look at local golf news this week. Finger Lakes Times had a nice story about a week ago. All throughout the season, the Hobart golf team in Geneva carried a golf bag with a special meaning. The orange and white bag was emblazoned with a name on the side. It was Master Sergeant Stephen Edward Auckman, United States Air Force. And the statesmen are now auctioning off that bag through the Hobart William Smith Athletics website until June 15th. For more information and to make a bid, you can go to hwsathletics.com/auctions. And the proceeds from the auction will be donated to Folds of Honor, a program which provides college golf programs the opportunity to honor fallen or wounded American service personnel. And I should tell you a little bit about Auckman. A native of Auburn, Master Sergeant Auckman graduated from Waterloo High School and enlisted in the military in 1985. He was killed in October 2004 during a mortar attack while deployed in Iraq with the 5th Expeditionary Air Support Operations Squadron. So you can also check out that full article online at the Finger Lakes Times website, fltimes.com. Hey, Owasco officials are waiting on the state before making a decision about Tom Thumb Drive-In's plans to expand with a miniature golf course. Hey, we'll cover miniature golf news here on the Finger Lakes Golfer Podcast. Members of the Owasco Town Board considered the request by owner Tom Galbato, who is seeking to construct the course out of an adjacent lot to the drive-in ice cream stand at Tom Thumb. The development to the restaurant would be occurring along Route 38A, which means that approval is required from the State Department of Transportation regarding proposed entrance and exit designs. Pending approval, developers are expecting construction to start in 2016. So mini golf coming to Owasco on Route 38A, potentially. And, you know, I kind of like mini golf, but I don't like the windmills and stuff as much as I do some of the, I don't know, more aesthetically landscape types of mini golf courses. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of mini golf they construct up there at Tom Thumb. What type of course it'll be. Of course, Reese's Dairy Bar had a great mini golf course for years, but they've closed that, and that was a tough track on Auburn Road, just short of the Finger Lakes Mall. How about the Central New York PGA? I'll give you an update on what's been going on. Last week they played at the let me skip ahead here. They played the New York State Open qualifier at Timber Banks, and only 10 contestants for that one. That used to be a pretty big tournament, the New York State Open. This is just a qualifier. It was Tyler McArdell who medaled with a plus 173, but Tuesdays ago, because of the Memorial Day holiday, the National Car Rental Scratch Pro-Am was held at Wayne Hills. Jay Terzic took home that crown at 3 under. And also took home $790 for his effort, firing a 69, finishing 3 shots ahead of Rob Phelps, Kevin Savage, and Rick Bronson, who finished at even par. Joe Norman was 1 over at 73. And then earlier today, it was the Central New York Open Championship at Lakeshore Yacht and Country Club in Syracuse, and it was Mark Tucker firing a 2 under 70 to edge out Jim Roy, who finished at 1 under Carl Schiamenti was even. Steve Nekowitz was even. And Eric Manning were even par, tied at third. Next Monday, the Great Lakes Golf Car Pro-Am Pro Officer at Cavalry Club in Manlius. Speaking of qualifiers, the U.S. Open, anybody can play in the U.S. Open. I think your handicap has to maybe be below a 4. I think that might be the limit. But if you want to put up the $100 or $200 entry fee to play in a local U.S. Open qualifier, you then advance to a sectional U.S. Open qualifier. And if you get past that, guess what? You're in the U.S. Open. That's open to anybody. That's why they call it the U.S. Open. I'm talking United States Open, one of golf's majors. So they had the local qualifiers over the past couple of weeks. One was held at Timber Banks, and it was Dominic Bazzelli medaling there at 1 under, actually tying for medalists with Cheng Wan Wu from Markham, Ontario. And then it was amateur Derek Bard taking the 3rd spot from New Hartford, and he'll advance now to the sectional. Those 3 will advance to the sectional qualifiers coming up, along some local golfers who did not qualify at Timber Banks. John Duthie from Lansing was 3 over. Jim Roy from Syracuse was 6 over. Michael May Jr. out of Auburn, 7 over 79. Carl Schiamenti was +9. He's playing out of Ithaca. And Nick Serafino, head pro at Lakeshore, shot a 10 over 82. They also had a U.S. Open qualifier at Mendon Golf Club on May 18th. And medaling there was good old Gavin Hall, the youngster from Pittsford, who will now attempt on June 8th to qualify for the U.S. Open. He shot an 8 under 63 at Mendon Golf Club. Also qualifying was Jay Kim from North York, Ontario, at 3 under. In the first alternate is an amateur, Adam Condello, and he plays out of Bloomfield, and he shot a 2 under to be the first alternate. So, he'll be waiting by the phone. Local qualifiers at Mendon who didn't make the cut. Neil Reedy from Victor was 5 over, and Paul Nardozzi out of Farmington was 6 over. U.S. sectional qualifier on June 8th for U.S. qualifiers, and there's a few different ones that the players will have to choose from here. And the international qualifiers were held on May 25th in Japan and England. And so, with the U.S. Open just 3 weeks away, the qualifiers are next week. A lot of these guys have their eyes on Chambers Bay potential trip. And if they do qualify, let's keep in mind they have to fund this trip themselves. I think they'll find a way, though, if they qualify for the U.S. Open. So those are some of the names that we'll be keeping an eye on. I suppose Dominic Bazzelli out of Rochester moving on. Gavin Hall out of Pittsburgh moving on. And potentially Adam Condello out of Bloomfield, first alternate for the sectional qualifiers coming up on June 8th for the U.S. Open. So, also getting underway this week, a field of 139 players, including defending champion Kevin Vandenberg, will compete in the 59th annual Post-Standard Amateur 72-hole tournament scheduled to begin this Wednesday at Cazenovia Country Club, and then it'll continue Thursday at Beaver Meadows for round 2, Saturday at the Cavalry Club, and the final round will be Sunday at Drumlins. The New York State Golf Association Foundation will award $30,000 in scholarships to New York State residents who are matriculated in specific 2- or 4-year college university programs such as agronomy, turfgrass management, professional golf and country club management, or business management of golf. The New York State Golf Association Foundation is annually awarding deserving individuals with funds that help to reduce their college financial burdens and pave the way to careers in the golf industry. To learn more about the scholarship program or to download the scholarship application, visit nysga.org. Deadline to apply is Friday, June 12th. Been reminding you the past few weeks about a great fundraiser tournament at Seneca Falls Country Club. It's the Seneca County House of Concern 4-person scramble coming up on Wednesday, June 17th. Registration is $340 a team or $90 a person, going to a great cause, the Seneca County House of Concern. And also coming up at Seneca Falls Country Club is the Scratch Series is continuing on Saturday, June 27th at 1 o'clock. Save that date. It's the 2-man SFCC Scratch Series Summer Scramble. And that should be a lot of fun. Great tournament. Love 2-man scrambles. My favorite format other than maybe best ball. Love the 2-man scramble. 2-man open tournaments at Sodas Bay this weekend. Sodas Bay Heights. That's an old tournament, brings a lot of good players, especially from Rochester down, and that's happening this weekend up on the shores of Lake Ontario at Sodas Bay Heights. And then want to remind you about another great 2-man scramble, 2-day event, one of the best tournaments around. It's the Dutch Hollow 2-man scramble coming up on Saturday and Sunday, July 11th and 12th. And the reason I'm telling you about that now is that this one fills up. So you want to go to DutchHollow.com if you want more information on that. But I can vouch for this as being one of the top 2-day tournaments in the area for your average, for all players of all abilities. It's flighted after the first day. It's a fantastic 2-man scramble course. The greens are always in great shape at Dutch Hollow. And a great steak dinner on Saturday night. Also great prizes throughout the flights and a big skins game. So that's DutchHollow.com over there in Owasco if you want more information. We've got our tea times. You know, I know how great a tournament is that some of my friends from high school and college days who grew up here in Seneca Falls but moved away come home annually for this thing. We have players coming from North Carolina, Virginia, and Ohio, and Kentucky for this tournament. And we have our tea times. We're late afternoon, first day. Hole-in-ones this week. Tim Sullivan on May 24th aced the 163-yard second hole at Tuscarora using an 8-iron. And then the very next day, Mike Welch aced the same second hole at Tuscarora, and he also used an 8-iron. P.R. Anderson used a pitching wedge to ace the 88-yard second hole at Reservoir Creek in Naples. Jim Wright, he aced the 140-yard third hole at Bellevue using an 8-iron. Kevin Lowry aced the 161-yard seventh hole at Clifton Springs Country Club using a 9-iron. Steve Shepard aced the same hole at Clifton Springs using a 5 hybrid. So we had 2 aces at Clifton Springs on the 161-yard seventh hole. One with a 9-iron, one with a 5 hybrid. So more than one way to skin a cat. Charlie Pizzillo used a 6-iron to ace the 164-yard week. Always nice to get some hole-in-ones. And we certainly want to hear about them. So whether you're working at a golf course or you're friends with someone who made an ace, email us contact@fingerlakes1.com. Subject line FLX Golfer, and there's the email right there on your screen. Subject line FLX Golfer makes it a lot easier for us to pick it out of there and get it to where it needs to be so we can get it on the podcast. So, my friends, that's about all I have this week on the Finger Lakes Golfer podcast. Certainly not as much fun without my co-host Bob LaPrade up here. And we will return next Monday night at 9 for a regular time. I'm hoping that by then we'll have courses dried out and some great stories from the weekend of golf here, the first week of June. So I think the season got off to a great start. April might have been a little slow, but it always is. But May was fantastic. So let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that the weather cooperates so we can get back out on the golf course, play some more golf. It's such a short season as it is here in the Finger Lakes. But you know what? We'll be back here regardless next Monday night at 9 o'clock for episode 26 of the Finger Lakes Golfer podcast. So until then, hit 'em long, not often.
Support great local content like this by becoming a patron of FingerLakes1.com. Visit patreon.com/FL1.
FingerLakes1.com